Life is hard when you don't believe in yourself. And I know what you're thinking. That sounds like the tagline from a Disney movie or a children's book, but as I've gotten older, I had never realized how true that statement actually was. Now that I'm in my 30s, someone very special to me told me that sometimes you have to give up security in order to gain freedom. So I started a YouTube channel. And I know what you're thinking, a YouTube channel? That's nothing. And you might be surprised to know that YouTube has forced me to pry myself open and share some very personal things. It's pretty hard to hide who you really are on YouTube if you make enough videos. It has forced me to let go of the security of obscurity. It's not like Instagram where you take 100 pictures, pick the best one out of the 100, and then post it, get a couple of likes, and then keep scrolling. And that's why I personally prefer it. YouTube is more about depth and details. Hiding is security. Revealing is freedom. What I'm about to share is a very personal story, and I really hope that it helps you to get off the fence if you've been waiting to do something that you really believe in or something that you're passionate about. So here it goes. I was really excited to move to California when everything first started. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, originally. Go Chiefs. And I was a 20-year-old who was full of optimism and dreams, and I just knew I was gonna make it. And I was one of those loud, annoying kids who had no problem saying, look at all the great things I'm working on. I'm gonna be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. I'm gonna have a Ferrari and all these other things to show to everybody that I'm living a great life. Okay, now side note, I grew up really poor, like homeless poor. So I always equated success with expensive things, so that's why expensive things were my North Star originally. I grew out of this as the story goes on, but I just wanted to throw that out there. So I'm in California, new job, new everything, and a couple years go by, and I finally have enough money to where I can invest in my first little venture. This little thrown together t-shirt brand that I started called Honestly Clothing. Now put a pin in that because I'm gonna come back to this later. Now my original Honestly Clothing wasn't very impressive, but I was proud of it. And people were impressed by the fact that I made something. I actually had a tangible product. But long story short, it wasn't exactly a company. It was really just me with a box of t-shirts. Once all my friends and coworkers bought a few of them, they pretty much just sat in the box. And then I realized this is a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. So I took some other money that I had and I invested in some fast money ventures. Things like the stock market. I tried to do day trading for God knows whatever reason. But nothing really panned out and I just stopped trying after a while. More years went by. I realized that I had no real promising opportunities pretty early on, but I just stayed because it became routine. I wasn't a high-powered lawyer. I wasn't a genius engineer at a technology firm. I was, and still am, a government employee. Everything was routine, and I hated it. Now, there were some benefits, mainly just basic security and a little bit of disposable income, and maybe that sounds familiar to you. Those things are okay for some people. I could have accepted my fate and just been okay, but I have never once thought that I wanted my life to just be okay. The longer I stayed, the more I became dissatisfied with where I was, and that dissatisfaction slowly started to turn into frustration and anger. And I was really angry at myself for not taking more chances and doing things to make my life better. I started feeling like I can't even take myself seriously because of all the empty promises and all the flip-flopping back and forth between bursts of extreme motivation and extreme procrastination. So as time went on, I became really embarrassed. People would of course mock me about all the things that I had said in the past, and they had every right to. I was kind of a jerk to people because I never considered that I wouldn't actually do the things that I said I was gonna do. I had to come to the realization that I was all talk. I had nothing to show for all those words and wishes and dreams. I actually did almost quit in my mid-20s to pursue my clothing brand again full time. But when the time actually came for me to commit to leaving, what do you think Mr. Millionaire by 30 in the Ferrari with all the big hopes and dreams actually did? Nothing. I couldn't bring myself to leave because I had no faith in myself. So I chose security over freedom. I chose to play it safe because I didn't want to look like a failure. I didn't want people making fun of me. And I felt terrible about that for years and years after. Blind optimism has never been a substitute for a strategic plan. I stopped talking about my goals and any aspirations after that. I feel like I really just stopped having them. I found ways to pacify myself and to cope with the depression of knowing that I let my dreams go. Video games, working out, partying with friends. All things that are innocent enough on their own, but I was using those things to distract me from my disappointment in myself. I gave up on my idealist future and just started living in the moment. And more years went by. I fell in line at my job and actually did okay, but I wasn't happy. I got really close to my dad during this time, and he was really the one person who could tell that things just weren't quite right with me. He knew that I was dissatisfied with my life, and it's ironic because my dad was a government employee too. And as he was approaching retirement age, he was finally moving from his security phase into his freedom phase. And he felt like he was finally going to do the things that he always wanted to do. My dad was always interested in starting some kind of business. He didn't know what exactly, but he really wanted to have a business where he was going to be able to share his faith. That was the most important thing to him. So we would have these hour-long conversations about how we could work together and make t-shirts with Bible verses and these clever little expressions. And it was a lot of fun. I look back on it now and I feel like my dad was really telling me and showing me which direction I should go. And also during this time, my dad started to have some health issues. And this was what changed everything. My dad became the reason that I really wanted to make a change. So I did what a lot of other people do at this point. I went back to school. I felt like I needed something to shake things up, and I really thought that having a degree in something as generic but impressive sounding as business administration was going to change my life. It didn't, and I'm not pooping on college or higher education again, but at the root of all my issues was really just a lack of confidence, a lack of conviction, a lack of self-belief. Going back to college was really my attempt at straddling the fence. It was the option where I could do something different, but I was also kind of playing it safe at the same time. And I'm not saying that that's wrong for everybody. That just wasn't what was right for me. So I don't want to hear it from all the people who say, well, if you have to go see a doctor, you want a doctor who has a college degree, right? I'm not talking about that at all. I am simply trying to help people to find their way and figuring out how to get on the path of doing what they want versus playing it safe and doing the things that they have to do. And I'm not the only one out here like this. I talk to people all the time, men and women, experiencing the dissatisfaction and monotony of staying where they are. Yes, we have responsibilities and obligations. Some of us have spouses and kids and mortgage payments. Life generally trends from less responsibility to more responsibility the older you get. But more responsibility does not have to mean less freedom. Our lives don't have to be a routine. And that is what my dad was showing me. Being stuck in a routine was absolutely gross to me. It was so boring, and I constantly had to deal with my own feelings of self-betrayal, and then the bitterness started to set in. And my dad told me, you need to figure out what you want to do. Then COVID happened, and cynicism started to set in. And my dad would tell me, there's nothing wrong with wanting more, but you need to have a plan to do something different. Deep down inside, I knew that there was more to life than a regular salary, a routine, and the security of never having to make difficult choices. And my dad would listen to me complain and kept telling me that I need to make my own decisions. My dad never got a chance to see me graduate. I lost him a month before I finished. And this is where I hit my low point. Losing someone you love is sad, but I wasn't just sad because I lost him before I was ready to let him go. I really wish that he could see that I finally understood. I understood what he was telling me. He was telling me that security for you is not happiness. Freedom is. He was telling me, I don't want you to do what I did. I want you to create your own success. Invest in yourself, take chances on yourself, and believe in yourself like I believe in you. Because I think you can do anything. And that gave me all the confidence in the world. I knew immediately that nothing would change until I let go of my fear of failure. And I haven't figured everything out yet, but ever since then, I have worked harder than ever to grow personally and financially. And I've really made it my mission to help people who are in the same position that I was. Because that is what is worthwhile to me. So back to Honestly Clothing. Honestly is something that means a lot to me because it represents so many of my ideals that I had when I was younger, but it also represents a lot of the struggles with identity and purpose that I experienced as I went through the rough parts of my life too. And now it's come full circle, and it overflows with the idea that if you're someone who is able to get rid of that need for security and certainty, that there is incredible freedom on the other side of that. And there is nothing worth giving that up. My message may not be popular, and I know it sounds like something out of a Disney movie, but you have to know yourself, and you got to believe in yourself if you want to be free. So that is why I started a YouTube channel in my 30s. Not to become an internet celebrity or have millions of subscribers, and I'm not knocking people who do that. Of course, they're widely successful, but I wanted to share my story with you because my dad told me that it's good for you to give up security in order to find freedom when it's something that you're passionate about. So you gotta stop doing things that just make sense to other people, and you gotta start doing what you believe in. On that note, my name is Dave. I'm a 36-year-old YouTuber. I run an independent brand called Honestly Clothing, and I wanna help you to become supremely self-aware and financially independent. Thanks for watching.